What's up, you big, beautiful Madridistas? Welcome to tonight's show. Real Madrid 3 away to Brest. 3-0. Job done. Strong close to the Champions League group stages. We got a lot to talk about. But first, Hey Jude. I love it when I promote these Hey Jude shirts and it's just after a game where Jude scores a goal. So, Hey Jude shirts, it's January 29th. These shirts will no longer exist February 1st. That's the last day they're on sale. If you want your copy of a Hey Jude shirt doing the iconic Hey Jude celebration designed by our very own resident cartoonist, Finn, the link is in the comments. The link is in the show notes. And that's all I have to say. We got a big show coming up. Leah Revelle will be on in about 45 seconds. And let's get to it. Post-game show. Let's go.
Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
All right, before we break this one down, shout out to our presenting sponsors. Go to moji-mates.com because our friends over on Moji Mates have some of the best looking swag you'll ever see when it comes to football shirts. And the one I wanted to highlight today, because he's the man of the hour, Mr. Champions League right now, Rodrygo Goes, on fire, scored 2 goals today, and looks fantastic. Rodrygo, there are so many good Rodrygo shirts and hoodies over on moji-mates.com. I'd highly suggest you guys go on over to moji-mates.com. Get yourself some Rodrygo swag. And also want to give a shout out to tacsports.ca. As you guys know, big friends of ours, TAFC Academy, treat us very well, treat everybody well who walks in through their doors. If you're in Toronto, you want to sign up your kids for a soccer academy, for a basketball clinic, a swimming clinic, March break coming up, head on over to tacsports.ca. They got you covered. And with that being said, let's see who's here. Leah Revelle, what's up?
Hi! Don't mind the teddy bear in the background. Hello.
I don't see a teddy bear in the background, so that's why I was super confused. Yeah.
I don't see that? What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be the angle. No, we don't. Well, your name is covering it. Either way, we're not here to talk about teddy bears, Leah. We're talking about... You know what? After all this, after all the stuff we talked about this season, after we talked about our struggles and then, you know, some of the good moments in the season, making fun of Manchester City here and there, isn't it funny that after all this, in this weird Champions League format, and how the seedings work, we might see them as early as the next round. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a possibility. Here we are. What do you think? Why don't we start there? Like, what do you, after we're done with the Champions League group stage in this new format, what are your thoughts now that you've seen it all?
I don't like it. At the beginning, I was like, this could be fun. This could be like big game after big game, like European giants, you know? But I just feel like it's lost a lot of the novelty. Because to get the group stages, the group stages in whatever format are always like a little less climactic than knockouts, obviously. But I just feel, besides the confusion of how the group stages like were laid out and how they worked and functioned, I just feel like it was, another week of Champions League, do you know what I mean? Like, before you waited several weeks for the next round. I don't know. It lost its novelty a little bit. I definitely don't love having 18 games at one time. Because I have no idea besides scores what happened in the other games. But I prefer the old format, I would say.
I co-sign. I prefer the old one. My reasoning is that I think the more games you have, the more the quality suffers.
Yeah.
the more games you have, the less there is at stake in each individual game. Like, this is a huge problem that the NBA has for those who watch the NBA or any American sports. Their regular season is such a drab because there's just too many games to make up ground. It's not consequential if you drop points. So you don't see every team going in balls to walls every game because they don't need to. They'll save some in the tank. So because of that, the ratings have kind of gone down. And that's my read on it anyway. I could be wrong on why the ratings actually went down, but that's part of it to me, is like people just don't care anymore about the regular season. And when you just have more games, there's just more margin of error. There's the fact that City can literally sleepwalk and do shit all and then stumble their way into 22nd seed or 21st seed, whatever the hell they stumbled into. It's fine. You know what? Today was actually probably the most exciting of the entire day because I had no idea what the hell was going on.
Nothing.
Please tell me, if you actually knew what was going on with all these 18 games and all the possibilities, you're either Doctor Strange or you're just straight up lying and pretending you're smarter than you actually are. Because there's that kind of made it exciting. Like, I didn't understand. Like, okay, City won, we won, Barca won, Liverpool won. I still really didn't know what that meant for the table. I'll just save my mental bandwidth and just by the end of the match day, someone is just UEFA is just going to release the official standings and then we'll just look at it, because it was hard to juggle. Like, everyone's like, okay, you could possibly be 8th, 7th, 6th, or 21st.
Yeah. And even now, it's like we can face City or we can face Celtic, but we're on Bayern's side in the it's just anyway, whatever. Knowing us, we'll get City because that's how it's been every year for the last 5 years. We've drawn City at some stage in the Champions League, so it would only be we don't get cakewalks in the Champions League recently, unfortunately.
So I didn't even check the final scores of all of them. I guess Barca didn't win.
Yeah, they drew.
I got that one wrong. They were winning when I checked, and of course
Liverpool lost. Or did they win?
Liverpool also lost. So there you go. That just adds to my confusion. So I even got those
you see
wrong.
What I mean?
Yeah. So there you go. Anyways.
Crazy.
Anyways. Real Madrid get the job done 3-0. I'm curious to know what you thought. I thought it was pretty straightforward. I mean, obviously this team has become a team of memes because of I just wish Michael Scott was a real person for moments like this.
So what did you gather from today's viewing of Brest? What was your grasp on Brest today?
My halftime analysis started off with, and I was completely oblivious to it after I reread it, and the first two words in that analysis was Brest pressing, and people were laughing, you couldn't have worded it any better, and I was like, no, I couldn't have actually, because it was great wording. I'm very proud of it. They pressed the hell out of us at the beginning and actually gave us some problems, and I think so. My read on this whole thing, and I hate to summarize in such a simplistic manner because I actually think there were a lot of interesting details and tactical wrinkles in this game. But I think if we were a better team when it comes to escaping pressure and our wingbacks were more press resistant and we had a younger Luka Modric in those spaces, because I don't as much as Modric has some great moments, because in this game he had one brilliant pass to Mbappe to set him free in the first half. He also looked a little bit slow, like players would blow by him, or he just not as strong under pressure as he used to be. If you just were able to figure some of that stuff out, because if you see some of our sequences, we struggled, but we actually did escape their press several times, and we were able to. There was so much space once you escaped the first wave of pressure. If this team was an elite press resistant team, the amount of chances they would unlock for the front three would be endless. And I think that's part of the reason why we haven't seen as many transition opportunities as we should have. And I think you don't really get to see it until the second half of games. Around the 60th minute, Leah, is when Brest started to open up. Open up because they had to, right? I'm not going to get through this podcast. That's when the game opened up because they had no choice. They were down 2-0, and then all of a sudden you had two passes and we would just break. It was just
But guess what? You know who is press resistant? Ceballos.
Yes.
Hello. So, I mean, knowing that, besides it being a snore fest, I feel like it's the lineup, in my opinion, was wrong. I can understand like the idea. Here's the thing though, because if we lost and other things happened, then there was a possibility, I think, that we wouldn't qualify. So it's not like I think we had this conversation earlier in the year where like some teams might just look at this in a strategic way and not give a shit about the group stages of the Champions League, focus on the league, and then play the playoffs against whomever and just make it through to the knockouts. But there was, I think, a chance that we wouldn't qualify. So in my opinion, that's not like that's not a game, regardless of if it's Brest or if it's, you know, whoever. Like, you still, in my opinion, should start a strong lineup, and I just don't think it was our strongest lineup. Mendy, Mendy. Lucas Vazquez, I don't think there was a few. He's just not a defender. I think his defensive awareness is poor, and it wasn't. There were some like great moments of Vazquez during the game, but then like he would just get overrun. Their attackers were fast, so you know what I mean? Like I said, his positioning, his defensive awareness just wasn't there. And then having someone like Modric in the midfield that's not going to track as much or as fast just wasn't, it didn't make any sense. And then Asensio, like I feel like with the pace that Brest had, up front, I feel like you need like one of those, like it's good that we had Rudiger, but I feel like you need another destroyer in Asensio. So yeah, I just don't I think we started it poorly with the lineup, and I just don't get it. I don't understand, Kiyan, at this point. I don't know what's going on.
Sorry, my mic got unplugged for a second. Am I here? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I just want to confirm. It's so I was laughing and then my mic got unplugged because the more you try to explain the Brest thing, the worse it gets. You can't explain yourself out of it. You just dig yourself a deeper hole. So you just can't. You gotta just like just shift gears. I think the starting lineup is a good place to start because I would agree with you. I don't think that this is. I think it's fair to say that what Ancelotti puts out as his once de gala is not necessarily the once de gala. And I think those three players that everyone is crying over, I actually cry with them, and I think they're correct in wanting those three players to play more because based on merit, Raul Asensio should be a starting center back for Real Madrid this season.
Yeah.
Based on our midfield problems, the energy levels, our lack of verticality and ability to escape pressure and ball progression, and our problems there, and the fact that Dani Ceballos has probably been the best in that department, he should be starting. And of course, the other one is like Fran Garcia, who again does more offensively in 30 seconds than Ferland Mendy does in 2 years. And Ferland Mendy had a cross in the second half today with his right foot, and Jude nearly gets on the end of it. And it's like every time Ferland Mendy makes a cross in the final third, I'm just like shocked. Like, I look outside.
His face, he laughed.
Like a full, did he laugh? Hilarious.
Yeah, he laughed. That's when you know it's bad. When they don't even realize that. Crazy.
I would like to make a point about the right back situation in particular, Leah, because obviously that's the one where you don't really have many options. With the left back, you have Fran Garcia. With the center back, you have Asensio, and now Alaba coming back. And with the right back, it's like you choose between Raul Asensio playing right back or promoting one of the young players. I think part of the reason why Ancelotti does put Vazquez there is because he actually does get in the final third and he does provide options. He had two really nice crosses today in the box. One to Rodrygo and then another one shortly after. And he also had an assist. So he had that assist to Jude Bellingham. He makes that run. And I think if you have both him and Fran Garcia, maybe Ancelotti doesn't like that balance. Maybe if you had Fran Garcia on the left, maybe he'd be putting Raul Asensio on the right. I don't know. These are all theories. I would probably ask him something like this after the game if I was there myself. I think it's interesting, but I would guess that that's part of the reason why Vazquez starts, because no matter what you think about him offensively, he does get involved. And he did have 2-3 really good offensive moments today. But I also think like he was going up against Valde on that side, and he didn't get tested that much. But like you could just tell physically he can't. Like he cannot. He doesn't have it in him physically, and I think that's part of the problem. He gets outmatched a lot in these duels.
And the thing for me is, if you are going to sacrifice that position, because Vasquez is a winger, like that's fine. I'm fine if he wants to be Cafukis like up top in an overlap, that's great. Like he does contribute, and I that's was my observation too, is that he had some good moments. He had an assist, like he can get the ball into the box or at least try. He's got a decent amount of pace, and he's tricky when he wants to be, so that's fine. The problem is, again, like his defensive ability, his defensive awareness, his defensive positioning, like it's just, he's not a defender. And so when you have someone like Luka Modric, which love him, but he's just getting slow, and then you take Fede out to cover for Vasquez, who's there? Like Modric doesn't have the legs anymore, especially to keep up with, like, the Brest was pacey. Like they were stop.
It's not. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to be, like a robot here and not react?
But Brest had legs. Stop. Are we 12? We're adults.
Oh my God.
Anyways, welcome back to the podcast.
Too good.
Anyways,
all right, where were we?
What I mean? So when Fede's out of position, when Vasquez is out of position and Fede is covering for Vasquez, so he's out of position, having someone like Ceballos that, like he said, is good in transition, is good with breaking out of press, is a ball carrying midfield. He's a creative. Do you know what I mean? He emulates a lot of what Toni Kroos used to do, and then in different ways also. I just feel like that's also a mismatch. So if you are going to play Vasquez, you need to have like a very solid midfield that can do everything. And then stop.
I'm sorry. Chat? I gotta gather myself. I can't even focus right now.
Wait, let me read the chat. The Brests were rapid, wild. You didn't even see them coming.
Oh my crazy. God. I'm gonna stop. We have to stop talking about them and only talk about Real Madrid. It's the only way we're gonna get through this podcast. Respect to Brest. I mean, they played. Where did they finish in the standings?
Hi. Brest finished. They were up top.
Okay. All right. Focus. Focus. We're gonna focus. All right. You figure that out. Okay. Here, Leah. Here's what we're gonna talk about now. Okay.
Okay.
I actually have a lot of cool things about this game that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Rodrygo.
Yeah. Great.
I mean, incredible. Just his dribbling is unreal.
Insane. Unbelievable.
Like, in terms of line breaking, like when he's dribbling with confidence and like there's so many, like we saw it last game. I mean, like you and I don't think we talked after that last game that Real Madrid won in the league, but I mean, just his line breaking was a huge source of offensive production. Like when you're facing a low block, of course he can do damage in transition too, but so he had 6 completed dribbles today. Obviously his moment of genius unlocked the game. And I mean, I thought he was fantastic. Mbappe was an interesting but you know what's interesting about Mbappe is that he had a like quote unquote quiet game, and by halftime I was like, how many times did Mbappe actually touch the ball? Like how involved was he? And he has 3 shots, and like they're good goal scoring chances. And then by the end of the game, a quote unquote quiet game for him, he has 7 shots. His shooting was horrible today. But
Yeah.
I mean, the ability to create separation from his defender, to create space, to find a shooting avenue, and also just like his ability to get into good positions, he should have had at least 2 today. I think, who was it that was robbed of an assist? Someone. There were 2 people who should. One was Fede. Fede, low key, great game, very solid. Read the game really well. He had an interception late in the game, and then finds Mbappe in the box with a beautiful pass. That's the one Mbappe just skies. I would have bet my entire life savings on him scoring that. So Fede should have had assist there. There was another one too that he had a great chance. But at least this was a game we won 3-0, so it wasn't that we didn't need him that desperately to score today. So
this is the thing that I'm saying about Rodrygo. We have I forget which podcast it was that we talked about it, but like when he has consistency in a position he's comfortable in, and a position that like consistency in minutes, he just like comes into form. I mean, he's also different in the Champions League, but he just he really shows what he's capable of and what he can do, and you don't really get that when. I mean, I don't feel like you get that from any player when you're constantly rotating them and constantly like changing positions and constantly adjusting. But to come in for a player that isn't consistent in position or minutes, to come in and play like that and link up the way that he does in a different position, like I feel like people don't deep how actually difficult that is. And regardless of who it is, it doesn't matter the opponent. Like he's still just line breaks. Like it's like nothing. He takes on 1 defender, 2 defenders, 3 defenders at a time. There was a run at the end in like the 85th minute or something where he almost scored. It was a deflection or like a tackle, and then the goalkeeper ended up just catching it. But like I think he dribbled through almost the entire team, got in the box, got a shot chance, and then just didn't finish. But Rodrygo, I think on his day is like one of the best wingers in football at the moment. Not biased.
No, I mean, what he's done at his age is, I don't know if it's being talked about enough. Like, Managing Madrid posted a graphic. I think it was a repost from maybe Transfer Market on one of these pages that does. It was Transfer Market, and they showed a list of the most goal contributions in the Champions League before the age of 22. And did you see it?
I didn't see it.
You did or you didn't?
I did not.
Okay, if you had to guess where where Rodrygo ranks all time.
No, I thought he's almost made Suarez, like he's almost reached Suarez's record. So high.
Forget Luis Suarez. Is not even close to being on the list. Well,
Really?
you mean overall?
Overall,
Vinicius recently surpassed Luis Suarez all time in Champions League goals.
Okay.
The top 10 most goal contributions in Champions League before the age of 22. 1, Mbappe with 37. 2, Erling Haaland with 26. 3, Lionel Messi with 26. 4, Jude Bellingham, 24. 5, Rodrygo. 5th.
Wow.
21. And then Vinicius, 6th. Benzema, 7th. Raul.
Wow.
Götze and Fede. So I just think, like, it's just, my point is just like what he has achieved, both him and Vinny, what they've achieved at such an early age is insane. I mean, when we think about like some of the all-time greats that, are phasing out their careers, like Lionel Messi, like Cristiano Ronaldo, and Ronaldo in particular, I mean, he's not even on this list, which shows you that he just kind of peaked as he got older.
Yeah.
But the fact that Vinicius and Rodrygo, like, both already have 2 Champions League titles, Vinicius is far and away like the most devastating player in Europe in the last 3 years. It's pretty remarkable what they've achieved at a young age, and it feels like they've been around forever. They're not even close to like halfway through their careers. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, that's what's crazy is like they have like they might not even be in their prime, which is wild. Like Jude, like he is still winning under 23 awards. You know what I mean? Like none of these players are in their quote prime yet, which is like insane when you like really think about it, because they have years and years and years of like honing a skill that is it already looks honed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they look like they're polished, finished products. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ancelotti after the game shares my sentiments. I think your sentiments too. He says there's too many games. Too many games are played. We have to remove games, not add them. Question to you. What is more likely to happen in the next 5 to 10 years? Less games or more games?
More. For sure.
I think
more.
so
Without
too.
a doubt, more.
I think
There's
so
money.
too. Which is just going to compound the problem.
Yeah. Well, we've already seen like we've been a number one victim of it. But injuries. The more games you play, the less time you have for recovery. The less time you have for recovery, the more injury prone you are. And then if you have a manager like Ancelotti that doesn't love to rotate, or a club like Real Madrid that doesn't love to make signings in January for squad depth, then that's just the boat that it'll end up being. But unfortunately now I feel like the sport has evolved into like a more money-making sport instead of a obviously the fans still enjoy it, yada yada yada, but the corporations and like the clubs and the FIFA, UEFA, like they just want to make money, and the more events they can have, if they can change formats to have more games, which means more shirt sales, more ticket sales, more events to have people out to, that's more money in their pocket. So I don't think that like the high, like big UEFA and big FIFA care about the players' time and injuries and all of this if they're like getting more money in their pocket.
No, I don't think they do.
Yeah.
No, because like to them, and I know it's a really horrible way of looking at it and framing someone in that light, but am I wrong? Do they care if a few superstars get their ACLs torn? Does it really put a dent in their pocket? It doesn't. I mean, and so until they start actually having empathy and care about what these players are saying, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
We are falling behind on super chats. So my suggestion would be to do these, see where we are, go over our leftover notes, and I think most of these super chats are actually about Manchester City. So the City ones, I'm just going to read them all at once, okay? And then we'll answer at the end.
Okay.
Rocky says, for fuck's sake, not City again. I know they haven't been great this season, but they are always a tough matchup for us. Don't forget, we needed Rodrygo masterclasses and pens to beat them the last 2 times. And then Rocky is back to say, even the worst City in years, quote unquote, will get ample opportunities against a defensive line which consists of Vasquez, Tchouaméni, and Mendy. Okay, we'll take those 2.
Yes. Facts. I definitely think they're not as strong as they were. They're lacking a lot of confidence. They're, if they can't, Champions League is different. We know that. And I think there's definitely like a mental fortitude that they'll have against Real Madrid, especially in the Champions League. Like I definitely don't think it'll be like any regular Premier League game, but they are weaker. Like they are definitely weaker. They're lacking a lot. They're also lacking in squad depth. They're also lacking in confidence. They're also lacking in, winning. So I agree. It's like annoying that we are continuously matching up against City. I'm kind of excited because there's also like a big fan rivalry now. City has they think there's some rivalry between Real Madrid and City, and it's levels. We're not the same. But I would like a game to show them that. But you're right, it could also go both ways. I think it'll be an easier matchup, but you're absolutely right with a back line of Tchouaméni, Vasquez, and Mendy. Like, I don't think that's gonna fly against Lucas Vasquez against Erling Haaland, please.
I have
Please.
mixed thoughts on it, Leah. On one hand, if I want to face City ever, it's like at a time like this. I mean,
Yeah.
the way they're struggling, I mean, I think they are going through their own mental battles. They have their own injuries to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, it's a two-legged tie where a lot of this will come down to some tactical battles. And I have no doubt that, like, as the super chat says, this City getting ample opportunities against the defensive line, they have weaknesses, but I'm sure they will try to target Lucas Vasquez and those runs in behind them. I'm sure they'll try to exploit the hell out of it, and they should.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't like our performances in big games so far this season, and I guess I'm circling Atletico, Barca, and Liverpool.
Yeah.
Didn't like our performances at all. Now, I do think that our mental state in our football looks a bit better now. I also thought that heading into that second Clásico, and we saw what happened. So I just have like a lot of conflicting thoughts. And if we face City again, but look, this is the Champions League, and I know it's cliche to say, like, you're not going to avoid good teams.
Big dogs.
They just you can't avoid them. They're going to come now, later, in this round, that round. And also, you could argue that, because just going back to City's struggles this season, are they really a more difficult opponent at this stage than, well, Celtic? I mean, I'd rather face Celtic.
Yeah. And Celtic love us too, low key. Like, what do we beat them? 5-1, 5-0?
Well, yes, yeah. But you know that Real Madrid and Rangers have an alliance, and then Celtic and Barca have an alliance. I don't know if you know that.
Didn't know that. But I feel like Celtic fans like have an appreciation. Just I know one person that supports Celtic. He's Scottish, and he was like a producer for one of the EA shows, and he was like, "Yeah, it was so nice. Like, all the Celtic fans at the Bernabeu were like, they were all mumbo jumbo." But we also have Mbappe, and if Mbappe is like coming into form, then that is good. If Rodrygo is Rodrygo, if Vinny is Vinny, Bellingham is, on top of the world at the moment. Even with a player like Ceballos, I feel like the damage he can do in midfield, I just don't feel like City have a few screws loose at the moment, including Pep. And I think that would benefit us. Oh my God, I almost fell off the chair. I think that would benefit us a lot in those games, more so now in their current state and our current state. Because, like, are we having to Real Madrid fan standards, a bad season? Maybe. But are we actually? Those are my thoughts.
I don't really know how to make sense of this season, to be quite honest. It's funny because I was talking to one of my good friends I grew up with, who's a complete football casual at this point. He used to be pretty religious. Now he gets a little bit older. He just says he's busy with work, and he's asking me like, "So how's the season going?" And I was like, "Well, did you see the Clásicos?" He's like, "No, I don't even know like what happened." And I explained to him, "So this is the season so far. Barca won the first Clásico 4-0 at the Bernabeu." He's like, "Whoa." And I was like, then they beat Real Madrid 5-2 in the Spanish Super Cup final. He's like, "Whoa." And then I was like, well, Real Madrid are like 7 points ahead of them in the league. He's like, "Oh." And it's just, it's confusing. And I don't like, obviously we'll have more answers by the time the season ends, but a lot of the season doesn't add up. This whole Champions League thing is also super weird. So we were trying to get used to this too.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, I didn't even tell him Manchester City are in this really, really weird rut, like for months and months now. Let's take a couple more super chats, and then I think we can start closing this one. Dipanjan Chatterjee says 2 more goals could have given the best route to quarterfinals. I'm assuming that's because of goal difference, but did the goal difference really play a part in our seeding?
I think if goal difference would have, if like, I think Barcelona would have had to win, Lille would have had to draw, we would have had to win by 5. There was like if XYZ
Yeah.
happened, then we would qualify to knockouts. But I mean, Lille won 6-1 or something, or 6-0. So
Our goal differential ended up being, I think, plus 15.
damn.
It took us a while to get there. It was like +1 after the first few games.
Mm-hmm.
So we started to kind of ramp it up towards the
We're
end.
scoring more goals now, which is
We're
good.
scoring more goals. I was like, this morning I was looking at some metrics because I might write something about Mbappe soon. Like nothing crazy, but just something like he's basically back to Ligue 1 numbers.
Mhm.
He's top 4 in Europe in XG. Like he's getting into goal scoring positions. He is
Top.
he's probably going to be in the top 3 scoring in Europe by the end of it. If you ask me the pace he's going at.
Yeah.
He's matching all the same metrics in Ligue 1, like most progressive passes received. Like he's constantly an outlet. He's getting on the ball, ball carries, progressive carries, and he's starting to score goals. He's looking good. And so like just these things, like these numbers are starting to ramp up with Jude too, Rodrygo too.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the next level is that Vinny needs to come in and they need to get integrated, and the synergy needs to come because I know like when people start talking about like the synergy is better with Rodrygo and Vinny needs to get to the bench, like because that is absolutely not a realistic situation. The only solution is you need to make it click and work when Vinny gets to the field. And if they can find that kind of synergy between them two, this team goes to another level.
Yeah.
They still got to fix their defense, but yeah.
Yeah. I think the issue though is like we've seen Mbappe now in form and understanding, like Vinny and Mbappe understanding each other on the left and in the center, and Rodrygo and Mbappe understanding each other. It's the right side that's the issue because Vinny's never going to play on the right. It's going to be Rodrygo. Always. And so I feel like that is the synergy that needs to, like, the right wing, the right side of the field. There's something that even with like Mbappe and Vinny are on the field or Mbappe and Rodrygo are on the field, like they are in kind of like a free roam role. They will overlap each other. If, you know, Vinny or Rodrygo cuts inside, Mbappe will like move to the outside to receive a pass or make a run. And like it's working now, but the right side of the field is just still so isolated. And I feel like whoever eventually will be on that side, which my assumption is Rodrygo, that for me is like the area of improvement.
I think it's really interesting to see the difference between him and Brahim on like from a positional standpoint, because when Rodrygo was on the field with Vinny and Jude, he'll gravitate left. Like he'll maybe start on the right, but he has because Ancelotti gives these guys freedoms. He doesn't make it rigid. Like he'll let Rodrygo, even though Vinny is already on the left, Jude is already on the left, he'll let Rodrygo go and overload the left side too.
Yeah.
And I kind of, what's interesting is that like some people think it's by design where it's like Ancelotti sends them all to overload the left side. But I think what's clear is that there are player tendencies at play when Rodrygo likes to gravitate towards the left. He's even talked about this. He likes to roam centrally. He likes to go to the left.
Yeah.
And then you look at this is Brahim's season heat map, for example. He does not do that. Like when Brahim is on the field, he's more of a rigid right winger. Yeah, actually, I thought, I don't know what you thought about Brahim today. I thought he was a little bit quiet. Obviously, he was involved in that third goal. By the way, that was the second goal. The second goal that we scored, I love that. When Mbappe does the dummy.
Yeah.
And then he makes the right off ball run to drag defenders away. Jude could have played Rodrygo on the left, but he carries the ball and just waits until the exact moment where the defense shifts, plays it to Brahim, Vasquez, Jude. It was a great transition attack. But yeah, so it's just kind of interesting to see the difference in Brahim and Rodrygo when they're on the field.
I feel like this might be a hot take. I love what Brahim is capable of. I love whenever he comes on as fresh legs, he has this like explosiveness and this like the ball is a magnet to his feet. Like it's insane what he can do. Whenever he starts or plays a full 90, I don't see the same. It's like when he gets subbed on in whatever 60th, 70th, whatever it is. When he's when he's on starts on the bench and gets subbed on, he plays like he has something to prove. When he starts, I don't get that same like passion from him. And he has moments, obviously, where you can see like the Brahim that you see as a substitute, but I don't see the same. Like I see you kind of along the lines of what we saw today, you know. And so for that reason, I don't know. Like if he can break through that and become like, if he can do what he does, you know, from the 60th minute onwards when he gets subbed on for 90, then yeah, of course I do think he should start. But I don't know. I just for now, what I've seen, I think he's just a better super sub.
I think it's a legitimate concern you have.
Mm-hmm.
I think what happens is that Brahim and almost anyone who comes in off the bench just looks better at times because the game state is totally different.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're already winning. Like when the opponents are tired, they're chasing the game, they're opening up. Like you're just going to have more space to work with. You know, when he's starting games, that space doesn't exist. You know, the game state is just totally different. Yeah. And I think you're right to point out that Brahim does get just more space, and therefore I think is one of the main reasons he performs a little bit better off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just something that is a reality. You know, once Vinny comes back, and with Camavinga being injured again, I think the lineup kind of chooses itself. You're going to have Vinny, Rodrygo, Jude, and Mbappe, those four.
Yeah, agreed.
So then you're going to go back into the double pivot of Fede and X player behind Jude, which is probably, you know, you take your pick. It'll be like Ceballos, Tchouaméni, whoever. All right. Back to this super chat.
Did your mic cut out? Yeah, your mic cut out.
I'm
there.
Back?
Yeah, back. No, not back.
Now I'm back.
Yeah, now you're back.
These are like 2020 Zoom problems.
Right? Can you hear me now?
All right. Timmy B says Kiyan is going to have so many viral and explore page-worthy shorts just from analyzing Brest today. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't have the same aura as Micah Richards, so I don't know if these are going to go viral or not. They're just more awkward, laughing and just giggling like little kids.
School good, yeah.
All right. Mohammed says February 1st to 23rd, we are playing every 3 days in 3 competitions.
Insane. Yeah, insane. We said that we talked about this at the beginning of the season, where we were like, it's literally every 2 or 3 days since October. So, yeah, it's not shocking that people are getting injured.
But is it really every 3 days?
Yeah, I feel like since at least November, it's been like that every 3 days.
So there's always a period in the season, and it usually starts around now to March, where it just gets so batshit crazy. It's like twice a week. But every 3 days is like, it's like NBA style. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. No, because like, look, in December, starting from November, okay?
Yeah.
November 5th, November 9th, then there was international break, 24th, 27th, December 1st, December 4th, December 7th, December 10th, 14th, 18th, 22nd, then break. January 3rd, 6th, 9th, 12th, 16th, 19th, 22nd, 25th, today. And then February 1st, 5th, 8th, 15th, 23rd, and then March 2nd, 9, 16, 30. It actually lightens a little bit. But like before the new year, it was like literally every 2 to 3 days. Insane.
No,
They're not robots.
This is a huge problem. It's a huge problem.
I agree.
This needs to be solved. This is and like if I were the players or Ancelotti, I would be way more vocal about this. I'd be like, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Well, especially if it comes. Here's my thing: is that they're not gonna like. No matter who complains, no matter people have been saying this for time. You know, the fixture list is crazy. Like, we're people, we have to recover, we have families, this, that, whatever. Like, the reality of it is it's not going to change. So the club's like approach to signings, to rotations, to all of these things has to change, because like you just physically, you can't, like, every player in the team is going to have an ACL injury. You know what I mean? Like, you need to sign depth. You need to have people rotating. Like, there's going to be competition.
You're still here. There? You're still here.
Oh, am I?
Yes, absolutely you are.
Okay. Yeah. It crashed. Something crashed. I don't know. There's going to be, you know what I mean? Like, it's not possible with the fixture list to, like, field your best team for every competition. Like, they're eventually going to have to pick and choose. Like, you know, the Super Cup, like, play a B team. Play a B team if XYZ is more important. Like, Florentino Perez, unfortunately, is going to eventually have to make January signings because, like, we know that, yes, we don't need to technically, but long term, like, Rodrygo now is, like, Rodrygo and Fede have been, like, our two most valuable players in the sense that, like, they've played every single fucking game and haven't been injured, knock on wood. But now Rodrygo has a knock. The more time he doesn't get to rest it, the worse it's going to get. Jude's shoulder, like, when's he going to get surgery? Literally when? Club World Cups this summer, so not this summer. You know, like, there has to be some sort of adaptation, and it's not going to be from the corporations. It's not going to be from big UEFA, big FIFA. You know, it has to be from the clubs. It has to be, like, different approaches to signings, to rotations, to all of that. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
You're not wrong. It's an ongoing battle, and it's a conversation we've had a lot of times over the last year or two. Rocky says I guess we are going to beat Abu Dhabi FC and win the treble this season. Hala Madrid.
I would die. I literally would die to win the treble. How insane would that be? That's like 90% of arguments now about, like, those two. Do you know what I mean?
Listen, I love the optimism. Just please keep your dreams realistic.
Hey, you never know. You never know. We didn't win the Super Cup, so that might mean we'll win Copa del Rey. Bilbao's out, so that's like 50% more chance we have of winning Copa del Rey.
Listen, I love the idea. It's just a treble. It's never happened. I won't get my hopes up.
We'll see.
Dr. Essa Hariri says, does it make sense to play both Valverde and Camavinga on the defensive line, Ceballos and Fede in the midfield, and have 2 extra midfielders in the build-up phase? So basically, if I were to kind of round out the attack, it would be Fede, Camavinga, a double pivot, basically, is what you're suggesting. Ceballos and Fede. Now I'm not even sure what he's suggesting. So basically, Fede, Camavinga, Ceballos, Jude is the 4-man midfield, and then Vinicius and Mbappe up top. I'm assuming this suggestion. Yeah.
Like a 4-2-2 situation. I don't know. I don't think you lose a lot of creatively, yes. But then I feel like you lose a lot of, like, we play counterattacking football. And if we don't really play, you know, like, if we played more tiki-taka kind of, like, build-up situation, I would think that would work a lot more. But, like, obviously, Ceballos doesn't have the legs that Brahim, Rodrygo, any other attacker has. So that would mean that the style of football would change slightly too, and I don't know if maybe that's what we need.
I mean, so this is essentially not far off from the lineup that I thought we were going to play heading into this season, which was basically Camavinga would, instead of playing 3 attackers, you'd have Camavinga in the midfield and play an extra midfielder for defensive balance purposes. I think you could, but you could pretty much argue that Rodrygo outperformed Camavinga, and some of that might be harsh on Camavinga because he's been injured for most of the season. He played pretty well in this season up until this last little stretch, which was capped in the Clásico with a nightmare performance from him. But I initially thought that that's what Carlo was going to go with, right? But I also think now Rodrygo.
He went fullbacks. Killing Fede as fullbacks.
Okay. Defensive line. For some reason I interpreted defensive line as like, I don't know, the DM, like that will pivot kind of thing.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Dr. Essa Hariri, apologies. Fede right back, Camavinga left back, Ceballos and Fede in midfield, and 2 extra midfielders in midfield. Yeah. I don't think it's far-fetched to say Fede Valverde is our best right back. And Camavinga is our best left back.
But then who would be the extra midfielder? Because Fede and Valverde are the same person. So
no, I mean at that point it would pick itself. It would be Ceballos and Modric.
Yeah. But then that's what I would say.
Yeah.
And then Jude, Mbappe, Vinny.
Look, in theory, this works fine. I don't think this is a long-term solution, obviously, but we're not talking about long-term solutions in a situation where we don't trust the youth, nor do we sign anyone. So we're in this situation where everyone has to play out of position. I think Fede Valverde. Look, which game was it that he played right back recently? Was it the last game or 2 games ago?
2 ago, I think.
It was against.
Because it was so. Asensio played. Was it in Champions League?
Or was it Valladolid?
Asensio played one of them at right back.
Asensio played the Valladolid one, I think. And I think
it must have been Salzburg, yeah.
Either way, the game that Fede did play right back, I think the way I explained it to Sid after the game was he has a level of competency defensively, right? So while he's not a pure right back, he is a very good individual one-on-one defender, and he's strong aerially. I think that's one thing I noticed when that Vasquez doesn't have, is that when the ball would be played a long ball down the wing, Fede could leap up and actually win the aerial battle against the winger in that situation, where Vasquez couldn't. Vasquez would just easily be shielded off, and Fede wasn't in that situation. So, but just even though he wasn't like a great right back, just his competency and his solidity was a kind of addition by subtraction for me to see him in that role. So I honestly don't think it's far-fetched to say that Fede is our best right back, and I think Camavinga is our best left back too. Like the overall balance he brings. I also think it should be Fran Garcia should be getting way more touches. Like I think Fran Garcia should be getting a game like this, to be honest.
Yeah, he should have started today, like COC.
Yeah.
I think that Camavinga at left back is a more realistic option because he's not a consistent starter as of right now. So just having him on the field in any position, let alone a position he plays better than an actual goddamn left back. Hello, no brainer for me. Fede, I think you take him out of midfield, you put him at right back, you lose a lot of value in midfield.
Sure.
You lose a lot of you lose that support because who else is dropping back from midfield to help defend on either side the same way that Fede does. You're losing the pace, you're losing his everything that he offers as a midfielder. You're losing when you put him at right back. So whereas Camavinga is he's already in and out of the starting 11, so that to me is a realistic option because at least he gets minutes, he gets consistent. If he turns into a left back, changes his position and is now a left back, fine. I'm fine with that. At least his ball carrying ability, his ability to build out of pressure, his pace, his overlapping skills when he's not even a defender, for me, no brainer. But Fede, I think, is a harder transition to make from midfield to left back or right back.
You know what I think is a great way to end this podcast, Leah? This last
Tell
super
me.
chat. Dr. Essa Hariri says, shout out to my newborn James, who is
Shout
a
out,
Real Madrid
James.
fan.
Yay!
Welcome to the
Congrats.
world, James.
Woohoo!
Dr. James Essa Hariri. Welcome to the Madridista family.
One new Madridista to the world. We love that.
One last super chat at the buzzer. Anchor Giotti Bordeloy says, reports suggest Fortea is leaving Real Madrid. Is it true? I just a quick one on this. I did a little bit of digging on this. I think he'll end up renewing. I don't think he's leaving. That's it. That's all I will say. I think
Great.
I don't think it's not. I think some people spun this into a pessimistic outlook, and that he's leaving. I don't think he's going to leave. I think they're going to talk. I think they're going to figure out something that makes sense for both parties. Worst case, you might. I don't even think it would be an immediate thing, but in the next couple of years, maybe you sell him with some rights or buybacks, the way you did with Nico Paz, or you loan him out. But I don't think he's leaving. So just
Nico
wanted
Paz,
to mention
by the
that.
way.
Unreal. Awesome.
Cool.
I think that the best part of this podcast is when you said Brest has legs. Brest has legs. Someone should clip that. We'll put it in the podcast intro. It'll be like somewhere between Ray Hudson and Derek Ray. Brest has legs.
I'm honored to be sandwiched in between those two. Well, just cut it here, please.
Oh my God. We gotta go.
Bye.
Someone's getting canceled. All right. Listen, guys, thank you for joining the show. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate you guys' time. What is it today? Wednesday. Lucas and I are doing mailbag over on patreon.com/Managing Madrid. And if you want access to that mailbag and you want to submit questions to Lucas and I, just please become a member over on patreon.com/Managing Madrid. Or if you don't have Patreon in your country, you can simply hit join on the YouTube memberships tab on the Managing Madrid YouTube channel. It's the same content. You don't need to sign up for both. Whatever is easier for you. And Angelo and I will be back on YouTube on Friday. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about, but it's probably going to be spicy, controversial, and it's going to be offending someone. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see you guys there as well. Leah, thank you.
Brest didn't skip chest day. We gotta go, Kiyan. We gotta go.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Bye.
Peace out.
Oh my God.